Which amp gets you closer to Slash's tone? His signature Marshall SL5 or the legendary Silver Jubilee combo version? In this video, I'm going to play both amps back to back and look at what's inside of them to figure out which one nails his signature sounds throughout all the eras. I'm going to play a few different guitars and I'm going to play some examples from Slash's back catalogue to really put these amps through their paces and help you figure out which one is best for you. The tricky part is, both of these amps have different speakers, which makes them sound different depending on what you're playing. So each of the speakers will suit different styles better. So I highly recommend watching the full video to make sure that you're making the right choice for what it is that you want to play. But first, can you tell the difference? Which amp is A and which is amp B? Let me know your choice in the comments below and I'll reveal which one was which later on in the video. So currently you can't buy the Marshall SL5 / Signature brand new, so you're gonna have to hunt one down used. I managed to get this one for 400 quid, which is an absolute bargain. I think they were selling for about £1,000 when they were new. They are still making the Silver Jubilee combo, so you can buy those brand new. The Jubilee might be slightly more second-hand, but they're around similar ballparks. Now, both of these amps can be used for practice at home or studio work because of their low wattage. So the SL5 is a 5-watt amp, but you can switch it to 1 watt, and the Jubilee is 20 watts and you can switch it to 5. I would happily gig with either of these amps because they're still loud enough, especially if you're playing in smaller venues. And let's face it, most of the time you're going to be miking up anyway. The Jubilee sounds great on the 5-watt setting. I do tend to prefer the Jubilee on the 20. In fact, let's just have a quick listen actually. Woo! Yeah, okay. It's got a lot more balls and a lot more low end on the 20-watt version. The Silver Jubilee comes alive in the 20-watt mode. It can be a little bit fizzy on the 5-watt mode. So before we hear the amps, let's have a look at what the differences are. So both amps have the same valves. I think the Jubilee has a few more valves, both ECC 83 and EL34s. And then we've got a Celestion Vintage 30 speaker in the SL5 and a Celestion Greenback in the Silver Jubilee. I would love to run both of these amps into the same speaker cab to compare them, but it's pointless doing that because you're probably looking at buying one of these amps as it is and just using it like that. So that's why I'm just going to keep this test nice and simple and not worry about different speaker combinations. So I had the SL5 first, and it blew me away with how Slash-like it was. I thought it was incredible. It gave me all of those Slash tones that I've been hunting for years, so I was really happy with it. Then when I tried the Jubilee, it was very fizzy, but I didn't know if it was the overdrive or if it was the speaker. Still don't know. So it'd be nice to test some different speakers one day at some point. Let me know if you're interested in seeing that video in the comments below. But when you put it in the 20-watt mode, a lot of that fizziness goes away and it becomes a little bit more natural. Slash has been known to use different speaker combinations throughout the years. What I can gather from my research is, for recordings, Slash would use the Celestion Greenback speakers, and live he favours the Vintage 30s. Both amps are fairly simple. The SL5 is a 2-channel amp. We've got a clean channel and an overdrive channel. We've got built-in reverb, which I really like. It's a really nice sounding reverb, and it sounds just like the Sweet Child of Mine reverb. I'd love to show you, but I don't think I'd get away with playing that riff without getting a copyright strike. But we've got 2 inputs. It's basically a high and a low gain input. You've got a foot switch, so you can change the channel on the foot switch there, and you can also turn the reverb on and off with the foot switch. It doesn't have an effects loop, so if you're running things like delays and reverbs and modulations, it's gonna have to go through the front. Slash doesn't use loads of effects anyway, so it's not a deal breaker. It's still a great amp. The Jubilee is a little bit more complex. We've got a rhythm channel and a lead channel, and you can switch using the foot pedal. It's only got 1 foot switch on it though. And then we've got rhythm clip mode, and that just gives you more overdrive basically. So if you want a little bit more distortion, like in the more modern stuff, you can get that. It's like a push-pull thing. You just pull these knobs out and push them. There's no reverb built into this amp, which is a little bit of a shame, but there is an effects loop. To keep it fair, I've turned the reverb off on the SL5, and any reverb that you hear, I've just put it in post. So it's time to reveal which amp was which. Amp A was the Silver Jubilee, and amp B was the SL5. Did you guess right? Let us know in the comments. I'm using a 1987 Gibson Les Paul Standard with Seymour Duncan / Alnico 2 Pro pickups. If you want to know more about this guitar, I did a video all about it on my channel, so you can have a look for that or click the link up here. Initially, I was going to run both amps in the 5-watt mode so it was fair, but I want you to hear the best that these amps can do. So I'm actually going to put the Jubilee in the 20-watt mode and match the volume so you can hear what they can both do. And I'm going to leave the SL5 in the 5-watt version. So now let's have a listen. Let's see what tones we can get from both. The SL5 is a lot brighter, but there's more body in the Silver Jubilee, and there's a bit more nasal mid-range. There seems to be more clarity in the Jubilee. It's like, there's a little bit of fizz, but there is that fizz. If you listen to the Appetite for Destruction album, there is a little bit of fizziness to it. And the SL5 seems to, the Jubilee definitely has more low end in it. A lot of that is coming from the fact that it's in the 20-watt mode, but it still has more low end in the 5-watt mode. And the SL5 seems to be like a... The Jubilee is just a little bit tighter. There's more clarity in it, whereas the SL5... it's a little bit muddier in the mids. They both do that throaty mid-range thing really well that you hear a lot on the Appetite for Destruction album, but the Jubilee definitely has a thickness to it. I'm not sure if you're getting that through the recordings, but definitely in the room, there's a lot more fatness. When you're playing riffs and lower chords on the Silver Jubilee, there's so much body to it. When you switch over to the SL5, it lacks a bit of punch. It's difficult. When you play them both side by side, the one that you play first, you become accustomed to and it sounds really nice, and then you switch and then it sounds different and you're not used to it, but then you play it a bit more and you get used to it, and then you switch back and you don't like that one. They're both great. That's the thing, they're both great. They're just slightly different. So I'm using the Dunlop Crybaby Q-Zone pedal, which is great for all that Use Your Illusion stuff. It sounds phenomenal. I've got some recommended settings in my How to Sound Like / course, which you can check out in the links below. But it gives you that throatiness that you hear a lot of on the Use Your Illusion record. Let's hear what it sounds like with a different guitar. I'm just going to dirty up the sound a little bit more to see if we can get some of that more modern Velvet Revolver type stuff. Can they do clean tones? Let's have a look. I know the SL5 does it very well. Sorry about that. Yeah, both do clean tones quite well. That's without a compression pedal and chorus. You probably want to put a little bit of compression on that with a pedal or afterwards, but both clean up really well. In the room, there's a big difference. If you're recording these amps, you're going to get a very different tone to what you're hearing in the room because the microphone is so close to the speaker cone. So you are picking up a lot of that brightness and that fizziness. But in the room, the SL5 is a lot brighter. It's a little bit more piercing, whereas the Jubilee has loads more low end. Probably going to sound a little bit fatter and might be more pleasing to your ear in this sort of room scenario. My advice for the Silver Jubilee amp is to make sure you turn it up at least past 3. Might not sound a lot, but it's pretty loud. I've got the gain about halfway up at the moment, and I'm on the rhythm clip mode, so it's got a little bit more overdrive, and it just seems to suit that Slash style stuff a little bit more. The verdict for me is, it's a tough one. If you want a quieter practice amp to use at home, you can get great tones with this at lower volumes, whereas to get the best out of the Silver Jubilee, you have to really drive it harder, otherwise it's very fizzy. Let me take these off because I'm probably shouting. I think the SL5 handles most things really well, and it's really easy to get a tone. It can kind of do it all in a way, but it's not as authentic as the Jubilee can be. The Jubilee is great, but it takes some extra work to get to those tones. Like I say, sometimes it's a little bit fizzy, a little bit nasty, but those core tones are there, especially for that Appetite stuff. I think, which one would I go for? Probably, if I'm gonna be recording, probably go for the Silver Jubilee, just because it's got more clarity, it's got more low end, it's got that authentic, proper Marshall tone without having a 4x12 cab. If you're practicing at home and you just want something to mess about at low volumes, SL5 all the way. Really easy to get tones with. Let me know in the comments which one was your favourite and why, and which one you would get. Now, if you decided on an amp, you might be wondering which wah pedal to get next, because believe it or not, all wah pedals are different, and Slash has a very unique wah sound. That's why I highly recommend watching this video next, because I compare 4 different wah pedals to find out which one nails Slash's tone the best.